Good morning. You're watching Saturday Morning Constitution, where we make sense of how freedom works before your second bowl of cereal. Last time we talked about the rule of law, the big idea that no one, not even a king, is above the law. But what if the king breaks the rules anyway, and the government representatives, in this case British Parliament, doesn't stop it? So in the 1700s, American colonists didn't see themselves as rebels. They saw themselves as loyal British subjects, entitled to the same rights as any Englishman, because that's how it had been set up when they came to the colonies, and that's how it had been for a couple of generations now. These were rights like not getting taxed without representation, trial by jury, protection from unlawful searches, the right to assemble and petition the government. These weren't radical ideas. They came from centuries of English tradition, from the Magna Carta, which we talked about, the Petition of Right, and the English Bill of Rights, which came after that, all designed to limit royal power and protect individual liberty. And the Parliament was supposed to help with that. But then Britain hits the colonists with something new: direct taxes on everyday life. Britain had a lot of debt and needed to raise some money, and they felt like the colonists should pay a little bit more than their fair share. So they taxed them, but they taxed them on things that made everyday life hard. Sugar was taxed. Paper, newspapers, playing cards was taxed. Part of that was also to dampen rebel propaganda. And don't mess with their tea. They taxed the tea. So why did all this matter so much? Well, because they didn't get a vote on it. They did not have a representative in Parliament. And so before all of this, Parliament hadn't taxed them. That was all handled by the colonies for the colonies. And now Parliament sort of went over that line. And the colonists had no say and no choice. So the colonists pushed back. They did this first with boycotts, with protests, with petitions, and then the Boston Tea Party. When the Boston Tea Party happened, Parliament cracked down with the Intolerable Acts. So they basically decided to punish the colonists for their actions. They shut down Boston Harbor. They took away Massachusetts' right to self-govern. They let British officials who violated crimes avoid colonial courts and sent them back to England, where they basically got off. They seized colonists' weapons and forced people to house British soldiers. To the colonists, this wasn't just bad policy. It was a violation of their rights as English citizens. They weren't asking for independence. They were asking for rights they already had. So what did they do? They organized. Across Massachusetts, local militias, everyday farmers, tradesmen, townspeople, started training. They stockpiled weapons and gunpowder in places like Concord. They formed Minutemen, ready to defend their communities at a moment's notice. And they watched closely for signs of British aggression. They're like, we don't want to do this, but this is the path they're going on, and we need to be ready if they decide to go down it. So then in April 1775, British troops marched from Boston to seize these weapons and arrest the Patriot leaders. The militia met them in Lexington. And while nobody really knows who fired first, shots were exchanged. The British moved on to Concord, where more militia stood ready. And that day, the first battles of the American Revolution were fought. The colonists hadn't declared independence yet, but a line had been drawn and crossed by both sides. So next time on Saturday Morning Constitution, we'll explore how those English ideas about liberty became something brand new, the Declaration of Independence. So until next time, stay curious, stay principled, and remember, understanding your freedom is part of a balanced breakfast.